What's going on, everybody? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest in the Behind the Bar reviews for Chapter 297 of 7 Deadly Sins. Now, this chapter, while not a bad chapter, I have some problems with personally, because I don't like the direction that it's gone. It may or may not be a bad direction, and that's all subjective and personal opinion, of course, but this is my review. But we'll touch on how I feel about this at the end. Let's just go through the chapter. So, of course, at the end of the last chapter, Escanor has reverted to his nighttime form because he's dropped Rita. So Rita the axe is gone, so he's reverted back to his nighttime form. True Night or Black Night or whatever that spell is called is still cast. A formation of darkness cast all over the place. Now, so Escanor, of course, reverts to his original nighttime form. Mael catches him, and it's all gravy. Now, here's where Elizabeth heals him. Diane and Gether are worried about him and the like, but Escanor recognizes him first as Estarossa of the Ten Commandments, and then realizes, no, this is Mael of the Four Archangels. Okay, so we're going to skip that stuff and just go straight into the stuff. Alright, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. We're not going to dwell, we're not going to spend 3 pages where Escanor tries to figure that he's Estarossa and get like half-page flashback panel to their fight. We get an awesome cover page this week, reminiscent of the Estarossa versus Escanor fight hype. So instead of wasting a page to showcase it, we got the cover page to just reference it. So that's cool. I'm good with that. Let's keep the story moving. Now, Escanor claims, here's where things get a little dicey. Escanor realizes this is Mael, and Escanor then says, okay, well, I was told by your brother about you. My power of sunshine, that grace, was originally yours, wasn't it? So he says to him, you can take it back. I'm like, oh no, this is exactly what I didn't want to have happen. This is not what I wanted. I wanted Mael to somehow get Ocean and Tornado. Because as it's been explained in the series, a lot of people are saying, okay, Hauser, Gil Thunder, Hendricks, and Dreyfus, somebody else should get the graces. Maybe even Elizabeth. Okay, and Elizabeth at least makes some semblance of sense. But once again, you cannot, as said multiple times in the series, Escanor was the only human, for some reason that's still not explained, can withstand a grace, and also, on top of that, use its power without his body breaking apart. So, there was no way that Ocean and Tornado, if going to be seen for the rest of the series, were going to be used by a human. So, I X those theories right out the gate. It's not that they wouldn't be cool and start making some Yamcha characters relevant again, but suffice to say, it just wouldn't make sense from a storytelling perspective what's been told to us. So I was under the impression, okay, I don't want Escanor to lose sunshine. And a lot of people were theorizing, Mael's back, he's got to get the sun back. And I was like, well, why does he need to get the sun back? Escanor is a very viable character, and we've seen him utilize sunshine very proficiently. He's never actually taken an L. I mean, you could, I suppose, call this Sinner fight a semi-L. I mean, he was sort of defeated. He dropped the axe. But if he picks it back up, would he go back to normal form? And once again, that's a reserve sun, so he's definitely, I mean, what is he at? 65% power at most? I mean, it's impossible to know, but he's clearly not in a good shape at all. So, it's hard to say, but I was okay with it. I was okay with Mael obtaining, as he saw his body could take in, the body of an archangel managed to contain 4 commandments out of the 10 for an extended period of time, and for years and years and years kept 1 and the power of darkness within his body, and that didn't break apart. So even though that's technically supposed to be poisoned angels and all this stuff, his body is definitely very susceptible. So I figured, hell, why can't he have, sort of a Blackbeard thing, the Yami Yami no Mi and the Yomi Yomi, or whatever it is, the Gura and the Yomi Yomi no Mi. Why couldn't Mael do the same thing? Tornado in one hand, Ocean in the other. Bam! I'm an all-powerful angel. Still showcases how badass Mael is, coming in to save the day, which I got no problem with. I like Mael as a character, but it doesn't take away Escanor's power. just for the sake of. So, in this chapter, Escanor's reasoning is okay, but I don't understand the line. This clearly goes along with what people thought when he was, when Escanor was coughing up some blood, is that he claims that his life force can no longer sustain the power of sunshine. I don't know what that means. I really don't, and I have no reason to believe. I don't understand why Escanor would even know this information. Because how would he know? Is he believing what Rudesiel told him? That it can't sustain in his body? Because Escanor, buddy, you proved for over 20 years that it survived in your body just fine. And from the looks of it, he can't control the one. It might be an output of power and he needs to recover and it uses a lot of strength, but he still goes into the one every noon. And just, I don't know if he pulls a Hulk and finds a cave until he settles down for 1 minute. I don't know. But suffice it to say, the guy has sustained this. So why am I led to believe that Escanor just now is just telling us what everyone has told him, that Rudesiel informed him when he didn't even know it was a grace? He didn't even know, he knew the power was called sunshine, and that's about all he knew. Unless it's one of those, he could feel it for a long time, slowly draining his life away. That since that battle with Meliodas, it's taking its toll on his body and he can't fight in 100 anymore. I don't know, but it seems really convenient that Black Knight would be cast, it would already be well past noon, Escanor would drop Rita, and they are in the midst of a battle when nighttime Escanor would say this line. It feels like there's no build up to this. I understand the reasoning here, saying, okay, right now I'm in nighttime form, Rita is half cracked and can't sustain any more damage. You are the original holder of the grace. I can't do it. Help! Right now. I'm beaten. I'm bloody. I've already fought a lot in this war. Take the grace back and help me save my friends. Help me save Merlin and the captain. That makes sense, and that reasoning is given here, and I'm totally okay with it. The issue I have is the life force line. There's no reason to even have that there, and there's no build-up or context other than the one spitting up the blood thing and Rudesiel saying that it couldn't be. Well, of course, according to Rudesiel, it couldn't possibly be the grace in the first place because the moment he got it, it would break apart his body. Or, depending on the translation, he says that trying to use the grace, if it was in your body, would tear a human body apart. So, 20 years. Just saying. There's no reason to say that all of a sudden now, at the height of the most important war and battle in Escanor's life, that now all of a sudden there's issues with his life force. There wasn't ever before, but now there's going to be. Sure, okay, yeah, I believe that. So, I don't know if that's a translation thing. From what I could gather, it's not. It's just kind of spotty storytelling or plot devices. It's an excuse to give male sunshine. When, to me personally, I prefer X out that line and Escanor showing a bit of the pride that his daytime form has. You know, a stern face, and as Hawk says, like with the mustache and everything, and just says, hey, you know, instead, if you won't accept the power of my grace, I'll lend my power to you. How about that? And that's a badass line coming from nighttime Escanor. He summons up the courage just for one sentence and even shocks Mael and quite a lot of the other characters and says, when he says this, and says, you know, I'll lend you my power. How about that? If you won't accept the power back, just borrow it for a while. I'm like, okay, so that tells me that Escanor is going to get the grace back at some point, whether it's because Mael dies, whether it's because Mael returns it for the sake of saving Escanor's life, or something else. At this point, I have no idea why it would then go back to Escanor. Of course, there was build-up in the last chapter for this to happen, with his inner monologue saying, I would give up anything, I would give up my power of sunshine if I could save Captain and Merlin. And then, lo and behold, next chapter, I mean, that didn't last very long, but that's where we are basically at. Now, Mail, of course, is conflicted, saying that, and it's not really new information, it's just worded differently, is that that Sunshine, and we could assume this, we already knew this, is that once Gother cast his spell and infused him with darkness and commandment or whatever, or the Demon King did, his grace abandoned his body as a vessel and left. And according to Mail, waited eons. Waited. Now, once again, try to take a little bit of liberty with the exact phrasing of things. Not just for the sake of translation, but it could mean that it was wandering, it was searching, it was in heaven, it was only recently cast to earth. There's multiple reasons. Suffice it to say, it was cast from Mail's body when he became Estarossa, and it, by the sounds of it, looked and waited and lay dormant until it found a new vessel. And as I said in a lot of my theory videos, that meant that it was looking for a host that could likely hold its power. I don't believe a commandment, similar to a lot of an anime trope, where a demon artifact or something finds a host body until it breaks down and then moves on to the next one until it breaks down. No. I don't believe the graces are like that. So I'm under the impression that Sunshine knew it couldn't go to this body of a giant and this and that and the other thing. No, it needed a vessel that could actually withstand its great power for a number of years without killing it, pretty much. And in this instance, Mail tells us that until it found you, its new owner, I can't accept the grace anymore. So I'm like, okay. So once again, I like Mail and I like Escanor. Both as characters, I enjoy them. So this exchange is fine. Once again, it's the life force line. It's like, it doesn't need to be there. Well, you can give away the excuse that right now he could just say, I'm beaten and bloody, and this nighttime thing is really kicking my ass. I've already used the one form, but this is originally your grace. You're in top form right now. You take the grace. I'll lend you the power for now. He could still have the line of giving it back to him, because that's what he said in the monologue, which once again, selfless Escanor, just being Escanor. And Mail the conversation could have gone the exact same. So that's why I'm a little confused by the life force line. It doesn't need to be there, and all it does is kind of confuse me, and seems to be added in there for a plot device last minute, or a reasoning, a second reason last minute, as though they thought the whole I'm beaten bloody in a nighttime form and my axe is cracked wasn't a good enough reason to say, hey, Mal, do you want your grace back, buddy? Because right now I got to kind of take 5. I'm going to take 5 over on the bench. We're going to pinch hit you for right now, I mean, that was good enough reason for me, so I don't know. Either way, this is where everyone's, of course, very shocked by this and the like, and we kind of, after this moment, move on. We move on to the battle between Rudessiel protecting Merlin against the Sinner. So we see that Zeldris is still having some struggle against King. Of course, King, having the true power of a Fairy King now, is a force to be reckoned with. Nice to see, but that's not really the main staple of the chapter. What is the main staple is Rudessiel is actually showing some skill. Clearly, the Grace of Flash is not necessary because that thing did little to nothing to anybody really of significance all series. But now, when he's just like, nope, I'm in my angel form, I'm just going to use angel magics and arc magics and just showcase, bam, I'm the Lord of Light sort of idea. It's kind of impressive. But it's apparently all a ruse. And this makes sense as to why everyone has been thinking, Chandler and Cusack, they were much more impressive than the Sinner. The Sinner is kind of, other than kicking down a weak reserved Escanor a couple times, what does he really showcase that he can do? I mean, it's showing how badass King is, being able to, damage his shield and push him back and all this other stuff, but it's not, in the way of actual context, it's not doing a whole lot showcasing his power scaling ones. But now it's all explained. And once again, this section is slight theory on the tail end of this here, but the explanation is because Rudessiel keeps hitting him. He keeps firing off these things, frying him to a crisp, beating his ass, blowing him up, all this stuff, and he keeps coming back with the same attack, some Hellblaze Omega strike. And Redecio, bam, the first one. Then the second one, boom! Oh, wow, that packed more of a punch. And then the next one, bang! God damn, son of a... And that's because, and Merlin states it, Merlin says, okay, quick side note. Merlin, the same one who can stop her own time for thousands of years, clearly, and can stack spell on top of spell on top of spell on top of spell, and use the power of her sacred treasure and infinity to make her exterminate ray more powerful than the most powerful spellmaster in the demon realm using the same technique, still has to wait 10 minutes for this incantation thing. Yeah, okay. No stopping time in this space. No fast forwarding time on the spell, the way you're slowing down time on the cocoon spell, like stack the spells, no buffing, no infinity. Okay, I'm going to stop trying to understand Merlin's character and just move on. Side note, ended. So, this is all happening because of the Sinner Demon's ability. And I like this because we finally have a reason, a consequence for the Sinner refusing. And I like this. I like it a lot. Now, once again, this is the theory portion right here. I'm under the impression the Sinner is not at full strength. That is why Chandler and Cusack appeared much more powerful, much more impressive in battle, because the Sinner fused is formidable, but not at full strength. He gets closer back to his full strength the more his life erodes away. That's just my opinion. It would make sense a lot to how this guy can go up against the Demon King and think he stood a chance in his initial form, and, you know, it just makes more sense to me. Now, once again, that's the theory part over. The actual ability is called Crisis. And as his life erodes away, every time he takes damage, and as his life slowly breaks apart and he loses vitality, he gains tremendous amounts of power. His original power, in my opinion, is slowly being restored while his life goes down. So it's basically a war of attrition. It's a war of endurance. Who can you outlast me until I'm destroyed? As my power grows, the closer I am to death, the more powerful I am. It's similar to things in a lot of RPGs called things like Last Stand and stuff like that. Very similar to, I guess, limit breaks in Final Fantasy, where you have a limit break which far surpasses super. It's your best attack. You're super strong, but your HP is really low. Same with a lot of abilities in a lot of different RPGs and action-adventure games, where you kind of sacrifice life force and you're down to, one life bar, one heart, one power cell, whatever, but you sacrifice that for increasingly crazy, drastically increased to your attack and defense power. So it's a similar thing to that, and we've seen very similar RPG abilities in Taizai before, so it matches the theme. I'm okay with it. I like the idea, actually, because Crisis seems to have been bestowed on him on purpose by the Demon King as punishment. Because, as the Sinner Demon explains, here's the deal. Punishment for not only splitting his soul and doing all that, but this is the punishment for returning to his original form. There is a consequence for him refusing from Chandler and Cusack back into his original form. There is a price. And that price is his body is slowly being destroyed anyways. The more power he uses, the greater, so I'm good with that. Finally, we have a reason, a good reason too, in my opinion, as to why they could so easily fuse back to the original Sinner with seemingly no consequence. No, Sinner's going to die. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but he's going to die. It's just inevitable. That's what his ultimate price has been for refusing. Cool, like that. And he's showcasing that he's pretty freaking strong. Now, as he's beaten and bashing and ready to deliver some blows, beam through the darkness and the clouds, and light has shone, and Zeldris thinks it's bloody Estarossa at first, so you've returned, Estarossa. No, I should say Mael, and Mael is there saying, my grace, ye dark fake night, disperse, sort of idea, and he's got the sun. Sunshine is back. We don't see Escanor chilling on his back or anything. We can assume he set him down, did some type of Namekian sort of gift me your energy sort of idea, and boom, we have Mael at the end of the chapter ready to throw down with the best of them. Okay, so there's the chapter. The reason, and there is only one way I can understand this. I had a prediction. This was talked about in the Discord, Grimm's Discord, who does the Boar's Hat podcast, before the chapter dropped. This was talked about probably on Friday, I think it was, Thursday or Friday. Someone brought up the fact that, it's likely that Mail, I went out on a limb and said a fusion theory and stuff. I didn't think it likely, but it's better than this alternative, because I'm just not a fan. I'm just not happy about the fact that my favorite character now is without power, and Mail's going to show him up, sort of idea. Here's how you really use Sunshine. It's like, okay, whatever. Just not a fan of that. It makes sense, but not a fan. But that's not the problem I have. The problem I have is everyone knew that Mail was likely to get Sunshine back, even though I didn't want it. And the issue is here with the True Knight. Now, once again, I am of the opinion that it's the nighttime form to daytime form Escanor is specific to Escanor. He's a special case. He's an exception, not the rule. I don't believe Mail ever had what you would call a weak form, a nighttime form. He was in the graceless form we saw is likely how he is at night. And as Rudessiel even said, as the sun got higher in the sky, his power would rise to the point that it peaked at noon, exactly like Escanor's. That has been explained, black and white, got it. The problem I have is Chandler. Whence Chandler, who cast basically, they kind of alter it here, but once again, translations. They're saying that it's a spell of darkness. And the only reason I can think they did that is because they may or may not have realized the little bit of retconning they'd have to do with this True Knight ability to make it happen. Is the fact that during the day, or it seemed to be during the day, True Knight was cast overcasing everything. That is what happened. And Escanor, of course, at the first meeting with Chandler, was in his nighttime form. Because even though it was during the day, True Knight or Black Knight, the spell that Chandler cast, using his darkness perhaps, demonic arts, I don't care. Either way, it basically made a pseudo-knight within a limited space. And this affected even Escanor. So he could not use Sunshine. Okay, fine. Then later on, we find out that Chandler recognizes, after not meeting Escanor in their first encounter, the first time he truly meets up with Escanor, he meets him in their 3-on-3 battle. Zeldris Cusack, Chandler versus Merlin, Rudessiel, and Escanor. Once he realizes what Sunshine is, the one, the power, he realizes that's a grace. That is Sunshine. He realizes right away what it is. And as Escanor, in the one form, is about to deliver a substantial, if not killing blow to Zeldris, Chandler recasts the same spell he used last time. He casts Black Knight. He casts this, and all of a sudden, Escanor reverts immediately to nighttime form. It takes away the power of Sunshine. It takes away the form of the One. Now, whether Chandler knew or not whether this would just take away the one form, or if he knew about it, there is no feasible reason, there is no evidence for me to suggest that Chandler knew that Mail would be affected differently, or I should say Escanor would be affected by this Black Knight spell if he did not already, he recognized what it was. It was the Grace of Sunshine. He's gone up against that before, or has great detail or intel on it from the Holy War, at the very least, and knew the exact spell to cast out of his whole repertoire of spells. He cast the exact right, basically, dispel Sunshine spell, right? The issue I have with the end of this chapter is that Chandler knew to do that in order to save Zeldris's either chest, life, whatever you want to say, and it worked. And he seemed confident in casting this, that this would work. So my question, I guess my burning question is, if that is the case, then why, with the spell cast in this scenario, in this chapter, why does Mail get a free pass on dispelling? From the way I see it, Black Knight dispelled the power of sunshine. It can't grow anymore. It's nighttime. It's at its weakest point. Weakest point. And Chandler knew this. That's why he cast it. I mean, you might argue that point, but please tell me, once again, for each of these points, tell me in the comment section down below which point I was wrong on. Or just too much headcanon, too much speculating. I want to know. This is an honest question. Because it seems to me that Black Knight dispelled, for lack of a better word, sunshine. Then, Male gets sunshine back and dispels the dispel spell on his power. With the power that was dispelled by the spell Chandler cast. I think I said that all right. It's a little confusing. But suffice it to say, Chandler casts a spell to take sunshine off the table. Male gets sunshine back and uses the spell that, or sunshine, that should be still dispelled, and uses it to break the dispel spell. That, to me, makes no sense. You could argue that Male is a superior version of sunshine. Fine, Dandy. You want to make that argument? Fine. And I'll accept that. Let's say Male is 5 times as strong as Escanor with sunshine at any given point of the day. Perfect. Fine. Then there's either a problem with this chapter, or there's a problem with the previous one where Chandler seemed to know, once realizing what sunshine was, that Escanor had it, and cast Black Knight. If it cannot affect Male with sunshine, what evidence did Chandler have or knowledge to suggest that it would work? Because it clearly doesn't work. He can dispel that spell with the very same power. So it doesn't make any sense to me why Chandler would utilize that. It would have made way more sense for Cusack or someone to go up to the one and try to attack him, flank him from the sides. Use an absolute cancel. Try something else. Encase the one in the perfect cube during that exchange. Something different. Something new. But casting Black Knight made sense at the time, but now because of this chapter, I feel like it's been retconned. And it doesn't make any sense to me. No matter how powerful Male may be with sunshine, no matter how powerful, it wouldn't make sense to me that Chandler would have prior knowledge to be able to cast the exact dispel spell that would work on Escanor, but clearly has no effect on Male. Why would Chandler think Black Knight would have any effect on the one by that logic? It does, if it clearly doesn't affect Male. He would have no prior knowledge. Now, the only thing, as I said at the beginning of this little end rant of the review, and yes, the review is over, ladies and gentlemen. You want to skip the rest of this, that's fine. I should have mentioned that. The only other thing I can think of is that in this chapter alone, this spell is referred to as a spell of darkness. Darkness specifically, the innate ability of demons. In the 2 previous times, it was referred to as True Night or Black Night, a spell. Never referred to as darkness as far as I could tell. Now, if it is darkness, we have seen an indication of Escanor fighting Estarossa, and when darkness overtook his son, he just made it burn hotter, got stronger, and let the sun burn through and said, your speck of darkness can basically dwarf out my son. Who decided that? And he burned through the darkness. So the only thing I can think of is that, once again, assuming Male is 2, 5, 10 times stronger than Escanor with sunshine, is doing the similar thing to this nighttime spell. However, other than this chapter with a one-off line from the Sinner, I was never under the impression that this was the innate demon darkness. This was a spell called True Night or Black Night. And it literally took a space and turned it into nighttime. And to retcon it now feels odd. I don't like it. I don't think it makes sense. Even though that explanation makes sense, and you just got to forgive, well, they named this spell, but it was using darkness, so it's okay. I feel cheapened. If that's the explanation, I feel cheapened. Because, once again, that just, I don't know. How did that affect the one so easily then? It affects the one so easily, but a male that's been without sunshine for over 3,000 years, sometime afternoon, all of a sudden can break through this thing when the one Escanor cannot? The levels are off for me, ladies and gentlemen. They really are. Tell me if you believe that it's just a slight little retcon that, or just a, well, we never told you it wasn't darkness, sort of, No, I don't like that. I don't like that. But if you believe that that is the reason, post in the comments below. If you agree with me and think that this is kind of makes no sense, like I do, once again, post in the comments below. Either way. And if you disagree with both and can say, oh, yo, you're a dumbass, there's a third option you didn't even consider or mention, go ahead. Post in the comments section down below. I'm always glad to hear from you guys. This has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for Chapter 297. A rather long one because there was a lot to talk about. And once again, chapter was fine, but once again, I feel like we've been retconned. I mean, personally, I don't like the fact that Mail got, like, everybody called that the moment Mail showed back up, and it's kind of boring to me. If everybody calls it, I want something interesting. Like, the fusion of the Sinner Demon was an interesting twist. Very few people called that. But the idea here was everybody knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. So to me, that was a little boring, and personally don't like it. But once again, the chapter itself is still good, forgiving the retcon, which I believe really, truly is a retcon. I can't really look at it any other way. But that being said, guys, I've wasted enough of your guys' time. What did you think of the chapter? What did you think of the review? Love it, hate it, like, subscribe, comment, and we will see you back here next time for Chapter 298 of Taizai. Hey everyone, as a quick side note here at the end of the video, I just wanted to say, if some of you may or may not have noticed, I don't have my usual drink in front of me, nor have I said drink responsibly as always. And that is because I'm actually going to take my own words at face value for a change and start drinking responsibly. That means that other than weekend videos, I most likely will not be drinking through the week. That does not mean I don't think you should drink responsibly. It's just a personal lifestyle choice for me. Usually this happens, sometime after the new year. I like to give my liver a bit of a break. I haven't been to a doctor. There's no reason for health concerns or anything of that feature. I just decided I feel like I'm getting a little weaker, a little chubbier, a little older. I feel like it's time that I, left the drinking for when I'm a little bit more in my 40s and started working out a little bit more. So I'm trying to do a balanced thing. That doesn't mean I've quit drinking in any description, but I just wanted to let you know that for any reviews like on Mondays or Tuesdays when 7 Deadly Sins usually drops, it's unlikely I will have a drink in my hand. So that's just a little side note for anybody who's curious, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the review. Thanks, guys.